My name is Gregory M, and I have been driving taxicab full-time for the last 10 years, 6 months, 3 weeks, and 3 leap days. I also have 6 months experience in Madison, Wisconsin. And I have a pedigree in the car service industry going back to around 1920, when my grandfather drove limousine, and when my other grandfather from Texas drove cab in 1928, when he migrated north from Hillsboro, Texas. My horror story, my worst horror story with 400 West Superior and all the several contacts that I've had over the last 10 years have been horror stories, because they throw the book at you and try to make you cave in and just accept a plea bargain instead of having a court case about these little petty run-ins with these abusive passengers. And so they threaten you with a $1,000 fine, the 1 month suspension, a revocation of license, if you don't accept the plea bargain of $100 discourtesy. So it's a revenue generator for the city, and it keeps them getting the courts clogged up. And you don't want to take a chance on getting several $1,000s of fines and a revocation of your license, or a long suspension or short suspension. So you just go ahead. Usually, I think most of the drivers just go ahead and take the discourtesy charge, which goes on your record. And if you get 3 of those in 1 year, Michael Tibbs, the assistant commissioner, is required, I think, to refer you to the attorneys down at City Hall for a 1.5-year suspension. Those attorneys are supposedly more independent, but you know, you're in a super red zone of being fired and kicked out of your job, having to scramble to find income and pay rent. Well, my horror story was that I asked 2 people coming out of Northwestern Hospital, the Feinberg Pavilion, to put on their seatbelts, and it was listed as one of your 5 passenger responsibilities. Norma Reyes, the former commissioner, slipped that in as additional language, and she said we can require people to wear their seatbelts. I asked her point blank in public when Chicago Carriage Cab was holding a press conference in their garage, and she said yes. And it is, she slipped in additional language that it is one of your 5 passenger responsibilities. They've since slipped that out because perhaps they don't want to have drivers have that authority over the passengers, although the new commissioner could see both sides, because as a small businessman who has a $300,000 medallion, I don't. I'm just a hack. I just rent the thing for $30,000 a year roughly. But you're at risk if somebody gets paralyzed or killed, and it's your fault. But I asked them to put on their seatbelt, and they went ballistic at me because he had just got out of surgery. And I said, okay, let me get you another cab. And I just pulled back into the other side of the arrival court, and they're jumping out, screaming and yelling at me and taking cell phone pictures, and they went on their way. I called the police officer, and he made a contact report, and that was it. But I still got the complaint from them, and I was still threatened with all these penalties and fines and suspensions. So I took the plea bargain of $100 discourtesy, even though I was just trying to be super safe at the hospital when I picked these 2 people up, and to help them get another cab if they didn't want to wear a seatbelt. That's my biggest horror story at 400 West Superior. Thank you.